You're listening to CFRN, the Christian Financial Radio Network.
Good afternoon, traders, and welcome back to the CFRN Emini Futures Cast. This is the daily broadcast of Indeterminate Length, where we discuss all things Emini, along with some really big ideas on the finer points of trading gold, bonds, crude, sugar, the euro. Joining us today, Mr. Michael Borth. From our trading desk in Chicago, Mr. Burton Schlichter. Now, to get things started, let's go to our host and founder in Studio A, overlooking South Mountain, America's largest city park. Here's Dwayne.
Good afternoon. Welcome back. Today is Monday, 15th day of December, 2025. Thanks for joining us. Wherever you are, wherever you are, we're just glad to have you right here, right now. Do 2 live broadcasts every trading day. The first live broadcast, that's our live training room. So that one is private. It's reserved for members only and those who are taking their 1-week free trial. Not yet taking your 1-week free trial, Michael joins us in about an hour. He'll walk you through step by step exactly how to take the trial. Take you about 3 minutes. We'll get your indicators up and indicating today. Your trial will officially begin tomorrow and will run all the way through next Friday afternoon. Weekends do not count against you. There's no credit card required for the trial. In fact, for 5 consecutive trading days, we treat you just like you were already a member, passport holder. Give you access not only to the live training room, but to everything else we do 22 hours of the day. We go to work Sunday night at 6 p.m. Eastern, and we work around the clock till Friday afternoon at 5 p.m. Eastern. Now, when the live training room ends each day at 11:30 a.m. Eastern, take a 30-minute break, come back for this broadcast, the noon broadcast, which is open to the public. That's everybody, everywhere, planet Earth, internet-connected device. There's 2 different ways to join the afternoon broadcast live. Best way, you only have to do it once. Go to mytradingiq.com, scroll down the page to where it says noon broadcast. Click the link, fill out the 30-second registration form. Done. What will happen going forward is every trading day you'll get an email about an hour before this broadcast starts. The email, there will be a link. 12 noon Eastern, all you have to do is click the link in the email and it automatically logs you into our platform. Benefit there, you immediately have access to the question box so you can ask questions and participate in discussion. Of course, there'll be days you're out of the office, away from the desktop, but you still want to join live. And there'll be days when you're busy, so you can't join live, but you do want to get caught up later. You can do both of those via our YouTube channel, which is easy to remember. youtube.com/CFRN. That's the Christian Financial Radio Network since 2005. But all you have to remember is youtube.com/CFR. Not only do we broadcast live every trading day on our YouTube channel, as we're doing right now, simulcasting, we also archive each and every daily broadcast. Currently, there's over 2,900 daily episodes archived for educational and viewing pleasure. .com/CFRN. On the left side of the screen, that's our schedule for each afternoon broadcast. So we're going to dive right in with our daily devotional. That's where we start each day. And we're beginning a new topic this week. Just finished up. Anxious about nothing. Writing. Today we start Great Expectations. Rediscovering the hope of Advent. The word Advent means arrival or coming. The church calendar, Advent is the beginning of the Christmas year. Christians, it's a word of anticipation. It's a season of great expectations. As Advent looks forward to fulfilling all God's promises. The Advent season wrestles with the current world, filled with sorrow and suffering. The Israelites throughout the Old Testament waited and longed for rescue. Faced hardship and persecution. In captivity, they waited for release and for the freedom to serve God. Worship, they longed for the prophecies to come true. God promised to rescue them and to provide a Redeemer, Messiah. And they waited centuries for him to come, trusting that God would fulfill their expectation. Jesus' long-awaited arrival came over 2,000 years ago. So we stand together on the other side of the birth, life, death, resurrection, and ascension of Jesus. And yet, just like the Israelites waited for the Messiah to come, we wait again for his second. Advent is not so much looking back, but looking ahead as we walk faithfully now. The medieval church and Martin Luther emphasized the future hope and judgment that will occur at Christ's return. The season of waiting, long for peace, we experience God's love and desire it more fully. And we claim joy as we now rejoice in the Lord always, as Paul proclaims it. And he says, I'll say it again even, rejoice. But how can we do this? By faith. Eyes of faith see both joy and sadness. They see love and pain, evil, heartache, and brokenness. The eyes of faith see peace and long to see the end of war and violence. They see with hope, knowing the Savior has made a way. The Savior is the light in the darkness. Apostle Peter said, keeping with God's promise, looking forward to a new heaven and a new earth, righteousness dwells. And so we wait for the triumphant and glorious return of our Lord. In her work, Advent, once and future coming of Jesus Christ, Fleming Rutledge talks about Advent as the only church season that looks beyond history altogether and awaits Jesus' coming again in glory to judge both the living and the dead. This season of Advent, anticipate expectantly the great waiting. We lean into our shared history, tell the story of the first waiting. Advent is the season when we remember together the anticipation of Mary, Joseph, wise men, and that very first Christmas. Tell and retell this story because in it, we connect ourselves to that first waiting as we wait for the return of. Now, however, is the time of the enemy. His time will not last. His end is sure, even as Christ's victory over death is also sure. And we're in the middle space, witnesses to God's victory in Christ and participants in Christ's suffering, that we may share in the resurrection. So we wait, great expectation. Advent, we light candles to make our way through this current space where hope lives, but evil is still all around. Not wait in total darkness, for we know our Lord is the light of the world. Stand looking at the horizon, see the light coming, and wait. Wait for the sun to break across the dark sky. Scripture today is Isaiah 9, 2 through 7. People walking in darkness have seen a great light. On those living in the land of deep darkness, a light has dawned. To us a child is born, to us a son is given. The government will be on his shoulders, and he will be called Wonderful Counselor, Mighty God, Everlasting Father, Prince of Peace. Greatest of his government and peace there will be. Reign on David's throne and over his kingdom, establishing and upholding it, justice and righteousness from that time on and forever. The zeal of the Lord Almighty will accomplish this. And so we wait for God to act, watching with great expectations. He is faithful. Let's pray. Thank you that in your great mercy, people who walked in darkness have seen a great light. Praise you for Jesus, Wonderful Counselor, Mighty God, Everlasting Father, Prince of Peace. Let his light shine in our hearts and drive out every shadow. Fill us with his peace, his hope, and his joy. May his kingdom, full of justice and righteousness, grow in us. It's in Jesus' name and pray. God, he said. Amen and happy. Give you the numbers from around the world. Start here in the U.S. with the cash markets, or the indices as they're called. Currently here in the U.S., the Dow is down 82 points. NASDAQ is down 8. S&P 500 down 7.5. Russell 2000, our man in the street, down 17. In the commodity basket, crude oil down 89 cents, trading 56.55 last. It's a drop of over 1.5%. Gold basically unchanged on the session, trading 4,327.90 last. Silver up $1, trading 63.41 last. It's a gain of almost 2.25%. In the Asian markets at the close, Nikkei dropped 668 points, over 1.25%. Shanghai fell 21. Hang Seng dropped 347, almost 1.5%. And in the European markets at the close, FTSE up 102, The DAX up 43, CAC up 56. So that gave us a red day in Asia. It was a green day for today. So far, it is a red Radio Monday here in the US of A. Take a look at the global news. Hate to start the week out with 3 sad events, but I don't write the news, I just share it with you. Actor Rob Reiner's son has been arrested after his parents were found dead in their home yesterday. Nick Reiner was arrested last night and booked early this morning by the Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department at online records. He's being held on a $4 million bond. Rob Reiner and his wife, Michelle Singer, found dead at their Los Angeles home, reportedly suffered stab wounds. Deaths reported as an apparent suicide. This is a devastating loss for our city and our country. Rob Reiner's contributions reverberate throughout American culture and society, and he has improved countless lives through his creative work and advocacy, fighting for social and economic justice. An acclaimed actor, director, producer, writer, and very engaged political activist, he always used his gifts in service of others. That from none other than Los Angeles Mayor Karen Bass, California Governor Newsom, and former President Barack Obama also expressed sympathy for Reiner's deaths. President Trump called it a very sad thing on social, and then went on to criticize the actor for his outspoken opposition to the Trump administration. We all remember Rob as meathead on All in the Family. That's where he got his start. And some of the things Archie accused him of really turned out to be true later in life, but a soul lost is a soul lost, and so thoughts and prayers are with all of their family. Some of you may not be old enough to remember the 1970s TV classic All in the Family. Carol O'Connor played the role of Archie Bunker, and Rob was the son of comedic actor Carl Reiner. Reiners met in 1989 and had 3 children together. Reiner also adopted the daughter of his first wife, Penny Marshall. Son who's in jail and being accused. Such a troubled life, in and out of rehab, years of homelessness, really a tragedy. And he grew up such a privileged child. Proof that money does not buy happiness. And in the same vein, a gunman who targeted students at Brown University Saturday remained at large yesterday after authorities said they would release a person of interest from custody. The gunman, who has yet to be publicly identified, killed people and 9 others, with one of the wounded victims in critical condition as of this writing. At roughly 4 p.m. Eastern, a masked gunman entered the university's engineering building and opened fire on people in the hallway. He then entered the first-floor lecture hall where a group of about 60 students were wrapping up an economics study session. Some students managed to escape through side doors. Many more were shot while hiding under desks. Law enforcement officials say the attacker fired more than 40 rounds from a 9mm handgun. The introductory class, Principles of Economics, has 475 registered students. 80% are freshmen. Attack follows deadly shootings this year at Kennedy State University, Utah Valley University, Florida State University. Well, Blake, I'm seeing your comment. Get it real quick. No, we don't have indicators for Schwab or Thinkorswim. But talk with Michael, and he'll be on at the top of the hour. And he'll let you know what you need to do back into the rhythm of things, as you put it. He'll be joining us top of the hour. I'll make sure he sees your question when he comes. And if those two news events weren't enough, two gunmen, a father and his son, attacked a Hanukkah event in Sydney, Australia yesterday, killing at least 15 people and dozens more. One gunman is dead, while the other is in custody. Authorities call the shooting a terrorist attack on Australia's Jewish community. This is in a country where it's very difficult to own a firearm. The attack took place shortly before 6:45 p.m. local time at Bondi Beach, Australia's most popular beach. Hundreds gathered to celebrate the first night of Hanukkah. Witnesses say two attackers emerged from behind a small silver hatchback parked by a footbridge and opened fire on the crowd. A bystander was recorded tackling one of the gunmen and wresting the rifle from his hand. Improvised explosive devices were later found in one of the suspect's cars. Shootings are rare in Australia, which has among the lowest gun-related death rates in the developed world. However, anti-Semitic incidents have been on the rise following Hamas' October 7 attacks, Israeli-Gaza war. The country has the world's largest per capita Holocaust survivor population after. And now for some positive news. Indiana quarterback Fernando Mendoza won the 2025 Heisman Trophy Saturday night. The first time in school history a player has won the sport's most prestigious award. Caps a perfect regular season for the #1 Hoosiers, also a school. First, won the Big Ten championship. Selection is the latest in one of the most remarkable turnarounds in college sports history. For this season, Indiana had the worst winning percentage, 43% of any major conference team going back to 1882. On to Wall Street. Everywhere investors looked in 2025, there was OpenAI. The company struck mega deals with Microsoft, Oracle, Advanced Micro Devices, and NVIDIA. It amassed $1.4 trillion in committed spending over the next 8 years, pushed ambitions to build its own data centers and hardware products, and it converted to a for-profit company. Potential trillion-dollar IPO. OpenAI's private company shares have surged 150% this year, as it landed a $500 billion valuation, according to Yahoo Finance's private data. But despite the success of OpenAI, U.S. stocks wavered today as investors cruising weak behind them, waiting for an upcoming flurry of economic data to help set expectations for interest rate cuts in 2026. It's down 72% today. iRobot is the maker of the Roomba vacuum cleaner. They have filed for bankruptcy protection yesterday, saying it would go private after being bought by Paseo Robotics, its primary manufacturer. The company, which raised concerns about staying in business in March, filed for Chapter 11 protection in Delaware Bankruptcy Court as it grapples with increased competition, lower-priced rivals, and new U.S. tariffs. iRobot generated about $682 million in total revenue in 2024. Profits have been eroded by competition from Chinese rivals like Ecovax Robotics. iRobot remains dominant in key markets like the US and Japan, but competition forced it to lower its prices and make substantial investments in technological upgrades, according to the bankruptcy court filings. Microsoft and Yahoo Finance have made their Company of the Year award with OpenAI. Wall Street thinks the real story is how the former has begun to dance in the surging world of AI by itself. Microsoft's down about 1% on the day. Nvidia is up 0.5%. Now, Microsoft, that could put the 50-year-old tech icon. Imagine Microsoft's been around for 50 years. Known for its Windows operating system, Azure cloud services, and more recently, Copilot chatbot. In a prime position to add trillions to its market cap over the next decade. According to tech analyst Dan Ives, Microsoft will be at a $5 trillion market cap in 2026 as the AI revolution hits the next stage of growth. Microsoft's $5 trillion train is on track. Its most critical passenger is OpenAI. And it's been 3 years since OpenAI set off euphoria for artificial intelligence with the release of ChatGPT. While the money's still pouring in, so are the doubts about whether the good times can last. From a recent sell-off in the shares of NVIDIA, Oracle Corp's plunge after reporting mounting spending on AI, to souring sentiment around a network of companies exposed to OpenAI, signs of skepticism are increasing. Looking to 2026, debate among investors is whether to rein in AI exposure ahead of a potential bubble popping or double down to capitalize on the game-changing. Definitely the trade of the year, but a lot of questions yet to be answered. White House economic advisor and Federal Reserve Chair frontrunner Kevin Hassett's candidacy has received some pushback from people close to the president, according to CNBC. The opposition is owing to concerns that Hassett is too close to the president. Reuters, who published this article, could not immediately verify the details in the report. And of course, the big question, what do we do about China? The U.S. is confronting an existential threat, but not the kind defined by ships on the horizon or missiles in the air. Danger instead stems from a waning sense of national purpose, growing doubt about America's global role. Where is this more apparent than the emerging geopolitical alignment linking China, Russia, and Iran? This threat does not imply that China is preparing a direct attack on the U.S. Rather, it reflects what will happen as America retreats from the world stage. Russia will expand its influence throughout Eastern Europe. China will widen its reach across Far East, Africa, Asia, and even South America. With America no longer guaranteeing the freedom of the seas, its own network of economic alliances will weaken. The nation, relegated to secondary partner status, inevitably face economic contraction and a turn. Yet, some on the American right, the idea has taken hold that the United States should withdraw from the world, become an autarky, and redirect foreign or military spending toward domestic needs, as if global interconnectedness were an optional luxury. Affordable goods, efficient supply chains, and economic dynamism of Americans are possible only because of robust international trade backed by U.S. economic and military strength. Don't count America down and out. I always give you both sides of the argument. I agree with it. This should be interesting. There's going to be a meeting today between Charlie Kirk's widow, Erica Kirk, and his one-time friend, Candace Owens. This is the latest development in an ongoing online saga surrounding Charlie Kirk's assassination. And as I've said previously on this broadcast, I do believe Candace Owens has lost her mind. So, there you go. All right, let's take a look here at Logic 247. That's our 24/7, round-the-clock E-mini alert service. It's not just E-minis, it's also crude and silver. Currently in week 385. Over the last 385 weeks, we issued over 21,000 individual handcrafted alerts. And we've averaged on a weekly basis 20% or less of the alerts being stopped out based on simple market structure and a simple process that we teach all of our passport holders. Valerie did the recap this morning at 7 a.m. Eastern. She'll, of course, update it this afternoon, as she does each and every day. Since the markets opened last night at 6 p.m. Eastern, we issued 14 logic alerts. At the time of the recap, we were still waiting on the outcome of that. Left us with 5 actionable alerts, and so far, nothing has stopped out. The purpose of the logic alerts is to teach you how to read a chart. If you're going to trade for a living, you got to be able to read a chart. You got to be able to understand what it's telling you. You got to know where to anticipate resistance, where to anticipate support. You can't read the chart and understand what it's telling you, you're simply flying blind. But if you use the logic alerts properly, you don't ever have to trade a single one of the alerts. Emotions, as I've taught you, every logic alert in a couple of weeks, you'll be able to read the chart just like I do. You won't even need the logic alerts. Now, the logic alerts, every one of them has an entry price, long or short, initial target designed to help you get your goal for the day, then typically additional targets, and then a final trade. They can come out anytime around the clock, 2 a.m. or 2 p.m. Futures trade around the clock. We have traders around the globe. Our day session is their night session, and vice versa. 385 weeks is a very long time. It's a little over 7 years. Years before, it was a Logic 247. We had our original alert service, the concierge trade alerts, and they're different in a lot of ways. And I think last week with Logic 247, we ended up stopped out. Now, we did roll forward last night. Now, the There's a lot of differences between the logic alerts and the CTA alerts. But for the purpose of this discussion, I'll just say they don't come out around the clock. Published as a static report 5 minutes ahead of the Globex Open each evening, as they were last night. Now, we also rolled forward last night all of the indices. The S, Dow, the Russell, and the NQ all went to the H contract. Oil went to the G. All of our traders and trial members had all of these targets 5 minutes ahead of the Globex Open last night. Now, because of the rollover, and because Sunday nights are typically the only time we see gaps in the futures, particularly the indices, Sunday night, because futures trade around the clock. Unlike stocks, almost every day you're going to see a gap up or a gap down. That's because when U.S. traders stop trading stocks at 4 p.m. Eastern each afternoon, along comes the Asia session. They trade the exact same stocks. And then 3 a.m. Eastern, the London session. European traders, they start trading stocks. So by the time Wall Street opens at 9:30 a.m. Eastern, wherever price left off the previous day at 4 p.m. Eastern, a whole lot of trading going on overnight overseas. So the opening price will reflect that gap. Any stock chart on the daily, see almost every stock has a gap higher open or a gap lower open. That's a reflection of what happened. So last night, because it was Sunday night and because it's rollover, I gave everything a wide berth, much wider than normal. So as we go through the charts, I will show you exactly what I'm talking about. Now you'll see these targets drawn out on the chart. Just keep in mind that all of our traders and trial members had these targets 5 minutes before markets opened last night. S&P, the Dow, the Russell, oil, the silver. Let's go to the daily chart of the S&P, the bellwether. Now, I've rolled forward to the H contract, but those of you that have been tuning in every day, you know that these vertical lines represent where the step line crossed, blue and climbing, and price pulled back to the BTC. Interestingly, rolling to the H contract, you'd think it would be different, but look, step line crossed, pull back to the BTC. Step line crossed, pull back. Step line crossed, pull back. Step line crossed, pull back. Step line crossed, back. Then we had the black step line cross red and falling, and we got a pull back to the BBC. Then this one right here, step line crossed, pull back to the BBC. Price always reverts to the mean. In our case, the mean is green. We call it the BBC, just stands for bull cross. Price crosses above the green line, bullish, and expect higher prices. Price crosses below the green line, bullish, and expect lower prices. Above the green line, higher prices. Now, where we're at, we've already tested Friday's low, and we got a bounce. Both candles are still touching the BBC. What we need to see to go from bullish to bearish, big picture, we need to see a candle both open and close. See, so that would require that we see a close below the green line today. That means tonight, when the market's open an hour later at 6 p.m. Eastern, have an open BBC. Then if we close below the BBC tomorrow, officially go bearish, like we did here. This candle opened and closed below BBC. Got a leg and a retracement, back held, and a leg, hitting this double bottom here. Along with rolling forward to the H contract, I also had to change the fib extensions. Click it to highlight, and you'll see that I connected this low, this high, this low. Now, if we get a close today below the BBC and another open and close below the BBC, that will negate these fib extensions, and we'll start looking at fib extensions to the downside. But we won't get ahead of ourselves, because right now, both of these candles are touching the BBC. A day or two, able to make that decision. Now, what's important to notice is right here, there's a bullish cross. The line gets above the green line. That happens. Cross that leads to an extended move. Each time price revisits that area, almost always be good support, at least the first time down. So we'll call it 68.39. Let's get it more like 68.40. Now it's an area. Okay, see it better. Listen. It's a major area for potential support. Right where that cross is. Okay. That would also take us below the zero line of the fib extensions. 100% fib extension, it's way up at 72.65. So the question is, markets toe the line. Will this pull? We know the pullback holds more often than not. April 24th, every single pullback to the BBC on the daily chart held, and it held, and it held. Sometimes it's a couple days, sometimes it's one day. Right here, we had a 6-day pullback that not only held, went on to put in a new all-time historic high, day, and closing high. And it looked like we were on our way to challenge that last Thursday. It came Friday, what a wipeout Friday was. Now today we found support right at Friday's low. Friday's official low. See. Stuff in one spot right there. Okay. I'll wait at it for a second. All right, we'll just go look at it on a third chart. That'll clear things. Okay, Friday's low, 68.64. Today's low, 68.64 and a quarter. Missed Friday's low by 1 tick. Now, the vertical lines separate today, Monday. Back here's Friday. Back here's Thursday. Horizontal lines are the weekly trading zones. Now, these are last week's zones. Weekly trading zones are published every morning, every Monday morning at 6:15 a.m. Eastern. And yesterday marked 16 years. Dated weekly trading zones for our members. December the 14th. The first time was December the 14th of 2009. So yesterday marked 16 years. Now, the purpose of the weekly trading zones is when price drops to a zone, we expect resistance or support till proven otherwise. Trade up to a weekly zone, expect resistance till proven otherwise. All of our traders have this week's weekly trading zones already. But because these alerts were put out last night at 6 p.m. Eastern, of course, I was using last week's zones. So tomorrow when you tune in, you'll see this week's zones on the chart. Okay. This was the open last night, came down to the zone, and we expect support, and that's what we got. Only one of three things happens when price encounters a weekly zone. 70% of the time, it's consolidation. 20% of the time, rejection. 10% of the time, the slice. So we opened last night, and open was right here. Ran up, came just shy of the zone. Got the 68.99, zone 6900/6901. And in that same 30-minute period, we hit the zone below. So let's pull back to zone, launch the run up to the zone again. We consolidated, hit the BBC, consolidated at the BBC, then we made a run to the zone above, consolidated for quite a few hours, did poke above. Now, had last night not been a Sunday night and the rollover, all the things I've already mentioned, I would have put the long target right there. But again, I gave everything a wide berth. I had no idea how big the gaps would be. Not a huge gap on the S, about 3.5 points. Of late, we've seen some really huge gaps on Sunday night. Already hit the short target. Don't suspect we're going to hit the long target. But now, these are CTAs and not the logic alerts. That's a completely different animal. Notice right here, step line on the way down. Step line and red and falling were running parallel to each other. What's happened to the step line? It's hooked right and it's about to cross red and falling. If the step line crosses red and falling, anticipate a retracement back to the VC. Remember, price always reverts to the middle, like it did here, like it did here, like it did here. Pullback holds more often than not, but we know eventually it's going to trade through, like it did here. And off of the short target, bounced all the way up to the zone at 6900/6901. These are the zones published last Monday. Again, tomorrow's broadcast, you'll see this week's zones. Our members already have them. So if the black step line manages to cross red and falling, look for price to pull up, and we expect the pullback to hold until proven otherwise. If price should rally up through the BBC, you've got a bearish cross right here. Have a bearish cross that leads to an extended move. The first time price revisits that area will almost always be good resistance. Let's call that 6908. And in mind, it's important. First, we expect the pullback to hold. If we get the pullback, it's very heavy. I mean, how heavy it was on Friday. On the Dow, here's where we opened last night. Ran up to the BBC, consolidated, got above it, back held, then blew and climbing, got directly above price. When that happens, it becomes potential resistance, and it was. It sent us back to support, back to resistance, back to support, and then put in, now this long target based off this bearish cross. Price couldn't quite get there. And climbing turned to red and falling. Climbing is bullish, red and falling is bearish. Hit the short target, and we bounced. Here we had a slice. Now, when you have a slice, what will typically happen is when it runs out of steam, price will retrace back to the zone it sliced through and continue in the direction of the slice. So this is a perfect example of that. Now, when the market finds support, as it did here, it's going to go look for resistance, which it found at red and falling. Now price is taken out that area. Next area you should look for support is 48,650, 48,640 to 650. And this little area right here, that's going to be important. Okay, those of you that already have the zones know why. So Russell. Now remember, these zones were created December contract, now on the March contract. Interestingly enough, they're still doing their job. Notice that over the last 16 years. Here's the open last night. Red and falling's directly below price. Support is always going to send the market to look for resistance. That's just how markets work. Price goes from support to resistance, back to support, back to resistance, over and over, again and again. Never-ending cycle. So we got a leg and a retracement. We got a leg. This high right here, notice here, this candle has a wick pointing down, and the next candle has a wick pointing up. So if you put the cursor, the crosshair, right between those two, see that we failed, that area of resistance, we failed to take it out. What I mean by reading a chart. Know to expect resistance there. And price failed to even touch it. Right. And down we all the way to the short target. To the short target. Now we're approaching the zone at 2551/52. VNQ opened right at a weekly zone last night. When climbing below us, that's support, sent us right up to resistance at the BBC. Resistance sends us to support, back to resistance. Right here, we had two candles open and close below the BBC. Like we were going to make the drop there. That happened right at the London Open. So off we go. Now I would have typically put the long target here, but again, as I said, I gave everything a wide berth last night. If you look left, remember this was a green candle on Friday all the way up to here. So as price approaches that spot again, you need to expect resistance, and that's exactly what we got. But I stuck the long target up here at the bearish cross. Ever hopeful. That's okay. Trade what's in front of you. Okay. This is a larger time frame so that you know what the big picture looks like, where to anticipate support, anticipate resistance. Always trade what's in front of you. Not what you think it should be, or where it should be, or how it should be, but where it is. So we run into support here. If we go look left, we'll figure out why. We should do that. Got a bounce. Now we're back at the short target. Oil. So we opened last night right at the zone. That was the lowest zone for last week in crude, I do believe. So we closed Friday right at the lowest zone, right there, behind that vertical line. So we opened last night. We attempted higher. Now right here, you see where you got that wick down and that wick up. Put your crosshair right between them. And what do you got? Yep. But again, giving wide berth, I went ahead and went with the bearish cross up here. Get there. Blue and climbing turned to red and falling. Took us all the way down to the short target. Support. Gave us a bounce. Now we're continuing lower. Step line looks like it's going to cross red and falling. If so, we should get a retracement back to the BBC. Gold. So we opened last night. Made a beeline. Got there by 8:30 p.m. Eastern. Continued higher. Now, right here where blue turned to red. Righty. It's these highs right here, but we were not able to take out this high. This high right here is 43.85. This high is 43.84. So, failed to take out that high by 2 ticks. It's important. Let's see. Now, price traded right through this bullish cross. Had we been watching this live in real time, it might have came down and tapped it, ran back up, and traded through it. But on the 30-minute chart after the fact, looks like it just traded right through it. Now, right here, red turned to blue. Expect that to be support. Buyers came in early. Black step line is attempting to cross red and falling. That happens. Next candle will probably give us the answer. Step line crosses red and falling. Look for retracement back to the BBC. Should we trade through the BBC, get a bearish cross overhead. That's potential resistance. If the pullback holds, then we simply look for silver. Now, on Friday, hit the highest weekly trading zone, silver, and then hit the next to the highest weekly trading zone, silver. One fell swoop. Look at that. What a take. 5:30 minutes. We opened here last night below the BBC, but we got blue and climbing chasing price. You got that much blue and climbing chasing price, there's a good chance price will trade through the BBC. It did. Got a pull back to the BBC. Price always reverts to the mean. Back hell. That sent us up to the long target, which was based on this bearish cross right here. Spiked it a little bit. Climbing turned to red and falling. And we're right at the BBC, and we're about to get a bearish cross. If we do, so support here, 63.25. Here, cross, this low, then at this low, short target. Okay. So that brings us back to one last look at the daily chart. Again, we're just off the low of the session, and the difference between today's low and Friday's low is 1 tick. That's it. Tick. Wow. This is the bullish cross. That is potential support. Yeah, I'll show you here. Friday's low, 68.64, and today's low, 68.64 and a quarter.
Wow.
Yep.
So it's still an inside day. isn't it?
Yeah, by one tick. It's still an inside day by one tick. But we're below the BBC, and so if we close below the BBC today, and then open and close tomorrow, then that's another big picture bearish signal. Got this area right here, this bullish cross that could support, even if we get a down close today. So,
yeah, I was thinking it was going to run up this afternoon. That's what I was feeling, but I could be wrong.
There is a question in the question box. I already spoke with him about it briefly, and I told over it with him.
Okay.
So I don't know. Start there.
Okay. Yeah, sure.
Yeah, I explained to him that we don't have the indicators on those platforms, but I don't know how long he's been away.
Okay.
So he's probably got a lot of catching up to do.
Yes. Well, let me take the charts over here with me.
Okay.
And then I'm sure you probably said all this, but the stuff that we have, like
I didn't even get into the trading view, Sierra. Yeah. I just said Michael will get with you and explain everything. So
yeah, Thinkorswim, they don't really cater to scalpers really. Though their matrix, DOM/matrix, I think they call it something like that, kind of like the trade station. They have a matrix. It's pretty good. It's okay to trade with and all that. However, their margins, I think, are really high. At Thinkorswim, Schwab, whatever, TOS. They're great for trading options and equities, but for trading futures, their margins are high. They don't really cater to scalpers or day traders that much. We do have people doing it. If you have your account there and you want to trade there, that's up to you. If the margin's not a problem for you, then that's fine. You can just keep trading there. The charts, however, to get the charts like this, you have to have TradingView. Okay. And if you haven't, are you listening right now? I just want to make sure. Blake. Okay. Blake is your first name, right? That's what I thought. I thought it was in there backwards. So if you haven't, I'm gonna sneeze. I'll try to pull it. No, it's coming. All right, that's done. If you haven't gotten charts yet, go here to mytradingiq.com. Thank you. Go ahead to mytradingiq.com, click on trading platforms, and just watch this video. It's a 3-minute video. Basically, all you're gonna do is go out to TradingView and get charts. Now, how many markets do you want to trade? Flexible. Okay. Well, what I would suggest, if you start out with the essential, which is like $15 a month. If I click on this, you'll see. All right. The essential is right here. I'll click on monthly. It's $15 a month for the essential. And then you got to pay for real-time data. The real-time data is $7 a month for me. So you have to pay, it'll be basically $22 a month to have 2 charts with all the indicators that we use and all that stuff. That's to get the charting platform, the TradingView. Now, you use the Thinkorswim charting platform too. We don't have our stuff on Thinkorswim. We're not going to put it on Thinkorswim. TradingView has just been so good and easy to work with that we're going to stick with TradingView. So with the essential, what I was just showing you there, with the essential, where did that take me? Here. With the essential, you can have up to 2 charts. With plus, you can have 4 charts. Premium is what we have, and you can have up to 8 charts with that. If you were to go with the free version, the basic, it's free. Then you get ads popping up all the time. You can only have 2 indicators, I think, total. You can only have 1 market, and the data costs $30. So you get free charts, but you got to pay $30 for data. Now, it just makes sense to get the better charts, the better charting package, and pay the $7 a month to get data across all the CME. Get the CME group, and you get all the stuff that we're looking at in here. in gold and that too, because the gold is on the COMEX, the YM is on the CBOT, and these two are on the CME. Okay, so that's the way to go to get your charting platform if you want to do that. The alternative is to just get in the room in the morning and trade off of my charts. Some people do that. I don't really recommend doing that, but you can do that if you wanted to. But then you're stuck to just those 2 hours in the morning, and whatever I do in here right now. What I remember is using Thinkers, just for clarification, they're using Thinkorswim charts. I'm sorry, not Thinkorswim. They're using TradingView charts. And most people don't stick with Thinkorswim because the margins they have full margins most of the time. So, to trade one ES, you could have 13 grand in your account. They may have changed that. I don't know. But they switched to some other place, any other place really. You can trade any place you want to, where the margins are good and the commissions aren't bad. More like 32 grand. That's what their margins are. Yeah, we'll see. That's what I mean. So people trade someplace else. Now, my account is at StoneX, but the DOM that I use is a Sierra DOM. All right, and if you're going to go that route, adding the Sierra DOM adds in total about $100 a month, because you pay 36 bucks for the Sierra DOM, then you pay your exchange fees through the Sierra DOM. That's another 39 bucks. Then you pay 10 bucks a month to use Sierra at StoneX, and then I pay 10 cents. So the 10 cents aside, I'm not counting it with that 100 bucks because that ends up being a whole lot more. But but the 10 cents aside doesn't bother me, because from the way it was with DT Pro years ago at Daniel's Trading, which is probably the last time we were around, we're still, even with the 10 cents aside, it's still half of what I was paying at Daniel's for all those years. Okay. Okay, you can do that stuff at StoneX too. You can do the same thing at StoneX. So you could swap them over there. Or, I mean, you can keep trading there, but it's, it's up to you. It's just the margins are going to be an issue. In the beginning, where you're learning how to do it, in the beginning, it's not going to matter anyway, because you're not going to be trading with real money. So you have some time to get it all together. It's going to be a trade here on the up close on the NQ. So you have some time to get it all together. But that's now it's just about too far away on the NQ, I think. Yeah, it's one tick away. I had the order there anyway. Here, it just went to +4. I'm going to go to +8 and +16, +20, and we're out with 20. Okay, now let me put that in here before I forget. It was NQ 20. One trade. 0 stop outs. So now I can copy this down, put it here. All right. Okay, so I've done that. Okay, yeah. Our broker 86, his number is 866-928-3310. 866-928-3310. Okay, talk to Bert. He's been a broker for almost 2 decades now. Yes. 16th birthday. Wow. We've been doing this a long time. And yesterday was our gotcha day for Phil. We got him a year ago. We adopted him a year ago. 866-928-33. That's the right number. Yep. Bert will probably answer. Usually when you call that number, he's the one who picks up. But he got promoted, so I don't know. All right, so let me get into this. I did the whole free trial thing, right? If you haven't taken a free trial with us, go here to mytradingiq.com, click on the purple button. There's no credit card required for the trial. When you click on it, it's going to be the registration page. Just fill out the form. Down at the bottom, make sure you have TradingView login ID. If you don't have TradingView yet, click on this right here, and that's going to be that platform page I just showed you, and sign up. Okay. I want to get some more trades in, so I'm kind of rushing through everything right here. We had a bunch of trades today. We had, let's go up here. if you're going to read the spreadsheet, you got to read all the CFTC risk disclosures down at the bottom. Today's the 15th day of December, 2025. You're up 208 ticks on the NQ, 13 on the YM, 45 on gold, and 30 on the ES. Now, that was the high of the day on the ES. That was the high of the day on the NQ. That was the high of the day on gold. And that was just off the low of the day on the YM. Today it took 6 minutes and 2 trades to get to the goal for the day. At that point, we're up $1,100 with 10 contracts on. And we took a total of 54 trades this morning. Today, we had 54 trades with 9 stop outs. So 83.3% of our trades were break even or better this morning. And out of those 54 trades, only one of them was a break even today. So on the month now, we're at $14,852 over 11 trading days, averaging $1,350. That is with one contract. All right. In the room in the morning and right now, I'm trading 10. Was who, Jeff? Living near us? Bert doesn't live anywhere near us. He lives in Wisconsin now, right over the line. Oh, Phil. Yeah, he was living about 5 miles away. But now his wife is living there, and he is living with us. So we're averaging $1,350 per contract per morning session. On the year now, we're up $268,310 over 215 trading days, averaging $1,247 with one contract each trading day this year. Following the 24/20 blueprint, where you add one contract basically per month, one contract for every $2,000 that you gain, now you'd be up to 12 contracts. So far this year, if you quit trading and did everything exactly like I did, you would have only had to work 29.71 hours. If you quit trading when you get the goal for the day. Now the goal is kind of easy now. The goal is only $100 a contract. And I get it almost every day. I've gotten it for the last 624 trading days that I've had. So it goes all the way back a couple of years now since my last red day. But following the 24/20 blueprint, so far this year, you would have to work 29.71 hours, and you would be up $221,334 right now. Did everything exactly like I did. So you're averaging $7,448 per hour using those metrics. Okay, I have trying to connect. Oh, I don't need to connect to anything right now. So let's jump into the actual trades. The trades I took, it's 1:12, so I'm going to skip the stuff that happened during the break, and I'll just get right into what I did. Okay. Normally I go through everything that happened during the break, and I can take another 10 minutes. So I'll skip that. We had a bunch of candles today and a bunch of trades. So I'll just do everything that I did do. And because the markets are really jumpy today, I want to have some more opportunity to get in there and trade. Okay. This was our first trade. Now the reason it's got that off blue arrow is because it wasn't off the midpoint. All right. I thought it hit the midpoint, but it didn't. But this was the first trade on gold. On that one, we picked up 1 tick. Okay, and on the next one over here, we picked up 20. That brought us to 21. Then we went from 21 to 29, 29 to 30. And then we stopped out down to 15. Then we had 10 to 25, 10 to 35, and then 10 to 45. And that was all the trading that we did on it this morning, I think. Yep, that was it this morning. Nope, we had one more over here. I didn't count that one. Whatever I got on that, it doesn't look like I got very much. Probably got 1 tick. But I didn't count that guy. And that was it. I'm not going to go into everything that happened during the break because I want to get to trading again as soon as we can. But I'm sure there were a bunch more trades there during the break. We don't have one yet, but if it hits the midpoint here and gives a down close, we will have a trade. So, like, all I'm looking for right now is for this to get into the overbought and for this to hit the midpoint. When it comes out of the overbought, it comes off the midpoint, that's what you're looking for the trade. All right, like right here on the YM, this is too high right now. On a down close, it's not going to hit the midpoint. But if we're any closer and you got a down close on that bar that crossed the midpoint, it came out of the overbought, that would be a trade there. Okay, that one that I took on the NQ a few minutes ago was right in here, I think. It's one of these. It was one of these right here. That wasn't actually off the midpoint. Whichever one I did, it wasn't right off the midpoint. So it was kind of like that. That was it for the gold this morning. Okay, so now we'll get into the YM trades. Control the back. And go back to the beginning. Now the YM kind of whooped me a little bit. We almost ended the session at the low of the day on the YM today. All right, we started out okay on the YM. That's where we got the goal for the day, actually, on the YM. We picked up 10 on the first trade and 12 on the second to get us to 22. That's where we got the goal for the day right there. And then we went from 22 to 25, 25 to 35, 35 to 37. Then we stopped out somewhere right there. We stopped out and went down to 22. We went to 23. Then we stopped out again, brought us down to 8. Then we went to 13, and then we went to 18, and then we stopped out again and brought us down to 3. And that's where I thought we were going to end it, with 3 right there. Then we had one more trade. I didn't draw the arrow on it, but we had one more trade. We picked up 10 ticks right at the end. I think it was this one right here. Picked up 10 ticks right at the end, and that's what you're looking for right there. If you see kind of a light colored blue, that means I screwed it up somehow. If you see an orange, that means I screwed it up somehow. If it's just red, that means I did everything right and I ended with a stop out. And if you see blue, I did everything right and I ended with profit. Yellow means I got to break even. Okay. Yeah, Jade and I were just talking about that, Jeff. How much better Phil is than he was a year ago. We have made his life much better. You know, he's got dementia, and every day he thinks he can help. I'll get those dishes. You don't have to pick that up. I'll get those dishes. He forgot that he's bound to a wheelchair. And he means it when he says it. He's just a nice guy. All right. Gold. No, this is the YM. Didn't I just do the YM? I thought I just did the YM. I did just do the YM. I don't know why I'm messing with the YM. The ES. This needs to be the ES. I don't know how I changed that to the. That needs to be ESH. There you go. Oh, I remember how I did that. Okay, so let me hit Control and back on this. There they are, all the ES trades. Okay, so our first ES trade. Now, the reason this has an off blue arrow is because it didn't actually come out of the overbought on it, I guess. Oh, it did. Okay, so that's a regular blue arrow. All right, so our first trade on the ES, we only picked up 2 ticks on that one anyway. The next one, we picked up 10 ticks to get us to 12. Then went from 12 to 16, and then 16 to 17 on the next one. And then 17 to 18, so the 1 tick stuff. Then our only break-even trade. And then there was a pretty big trade somewhere in here on the ES. I went from 18 to 30, so I had a 12 tick trade somewhere in here on the ES. Somewhere in here. And that was where we ended it on the ES this morning. Okay, so we'll go to the end on this and see we don't have a trade going on right now on the ES. We don't have anything there, anything there. And now do the NQ. Now we had a whole bunch of trades on the NQ. A whole bunch of trades on the NQ. So scroll all the way back to the beginning. Look at all those bars. We're not even to 11 o'clock yet. There. Wow. Go further. All right, here we go. Our first trade on the NQ, we stopped out minus 25. Then right here, I have the off blue one because we weren't right at the midpoint. I had the order on ahead of it. I was waiting for that bar to close up, and I had the order on there, and it closed up, and it triggered me, and I got 45 ticks. So that put us at plus 20, right? Then we went to 23. Let me just get them all in view here. Went to 23, then went to 35, then 39, then 43, then 88, And then we stopped out and went back down to 53. And then from 53, we went to 57. And that's an off yellow right there. I don't remember why that, oh, that's, it was a break even, but I lost 3 ticks on that. That's what happened on that one. Somewhere we went from 57 to 61, and 61, we lost 3 ticks on that. That was supposed to be a break even. We lost 3 ticks and went down to 58 on that. That's why it's an off yellow. Then we went from 58. We actually had a full stop out there. Went from 58 down to 33. Then we went to 37. Then here, you see, this is exactly what we're looking for. Gets up above, closes down, comes out of the overbought. Over and over again. From 37 to 53 on that one. Same thing right there. Comes out of the overbought, crosses the midpoint. We went to 73 on that one. Then from 73 to 77 on this one. This was going in the other direction. Went up right here. Came out of the oversold. Crossed up above it. That brought us up to 77. Then this got us to 97. Then went from 97 to 113. And then we stopped out again down to 88. And then went from 88 to 133. That huge move. Got 45 ticks on that. And then went from 133 to 137. Again, that wasn't on the midpoint. That's why it's off color blue. Same thing there. Same thing there. I wasn't getting my orders off fast enough. I had the orders placed and it went up. You know, when this bar was being created, I had the order placed for it to close down right here. And I didn't adjust my order fast enough. That's why you're seeing a couple of those right in a row. We went from 137 to 144, 144 to 189, 189 to 201. 201 to 205, and somewhere in there, I don't have one of these, the gain. And then went from 205 down to 180, and then went to 184, and 188, and then 208. Now this one blue because the other thing that you have to have on the bar before it, you want it to be flat, right? This one wasn't flat on the bar before it. Okay, so that's why I put that in off blue in there. And that was it. Those are all the trades that we took this morning. There's a bunch of them. Okay, and this is the one we took here, and it's the off color blue because it wasn't hitting the midpoint, right? So right now, the way the trade setup works, once it comes out of the overbought, it has to go into the oversold before you can trade again in that direction. So if it's not a valid trade like this, where it wasn't anywhere near the midpoint, not a valid trade. It's got to go all the way into the oversold before you can trade in that direction again. Okay. So like this didn't hit the midpoint, so that's not really a valid trade there. The last valid trade was, no, that's a real valid trade. I'm not counting that mistake that I made. Looks like it was a while ago. You see, this one came out of the oversold, but it didn't make it into the overbought. So this one doesn't matter. It's got to go all the way into the overbought to be able to trade in that direction again. But this would have been a valid trade right here, and that would have stopped out. That was the last valid trade, all the way over there. Okay, so that's all that. Now, for anybody that's watching on YouTube, if you're watching for the first time on YouTube, this right here is a trade on the gold. I missed it. It's actually, it might be a bar. Yeah, it's 1 tick away. That's too high. If you're just signing in on YouTube and you haven't taken a free trial, go to mytradingiq.com, click on the purple button. There's no credit card required. When you click on that purple button, wow. Click on that purple button. It's going to bring you to this page. On this page, all we ask for is your name, your email, and your phone number. Give us all that stuff, and that's all you need. Okay, give us all that stuff. All right, so I am looking something up here right now. I gotta send this to myself so you guys can see it. We don't have a trade anywhere right at the moment. Okay, not right at the moment.
He was about ready.
All right. It's almost there. Yeah, that down close right there is going to mess it up. It needed to hit
It
the
did.
point. It was close, though. It was close. You are right. So we are at the midpoint, but we're not in the overbought on the NQ right now. Oops. That was one thing I was trying to send myself and show you. Yeah, bring it over here. Get a minute. It's not a trade there. It's not a trade anywhere. All right. The XRP thing that I was just looking at, it's got 85% buys right now. 85% buys, and it's down 5%. That's manipulation. Here we are. Now a down close on the NQ would be a trade. So we need the down close on this bar to come out of the overbought. It'll cross down off the midpoint. We need the down close on that bar will be a trade on the NQ. Okay. There it is. And here it is. It just bumped my stop to +4, and now it's really going down. 52 will go down to there. Oh, it's so close to hitting all 45. Come on, get all 45. There it is. Okay, we got all 45 ticks on that one. And that's it. That's all you're waiting for is that right there. That is all you're waiting for. And you only need one of those a day. Really, just one of those a day. Let's put that in over here. It was, oops, we gotta scroll down here. So now this is 65 and 2 trades. Okay, and today is 12:15. I won't make that mistake again doing. All right, and our total trading time is now down to like 8 minutes. We'll call it 10 minutes. We did that one trade in the beginning, and we'll just call it 10 minutes for today. I think that's excessive, but okay. And this is not calculating. Oops, I'm in the wrong place again. I feel like. Did it not register that stuff? Here it is. So we'll do 65 on the NQ. There we go. 32.50, 2 trades, 0, 100%, 10 minutes. Okay, that's all registered. Okay, it's all good. Let's get back in here, see if we have another trade. We did actually have another trade right there. That would have been a +4 for me because my stop goes to break even +4 after it goes 10 ticks into profit. The gold
This
almost
might
has a trade
do
here.
it.
Yep.
Al might do it.
Gold is right here too. 30.6 on the gold is what I'm selling, and that is just right. It can't go up above 30.317. It just did. I had my order waiting down there at 30.6, so I'm gonna cancel that right now. The Dow is really close. The Dow's kind of been whooping me today, so I don't really want to take it down unless it's a full signal, and that's not right now. This is too far away on the gold. Okay, and all right. I feel like yeah, the NQ's almost got a trade here. I'm gonna put my order on over there and get it ready. Just needs a down close. The yes isn't going to. The NQ could. The Dow's not going to. The NQ could. No, it's not going to. It's not going to. It's too far away. Cancel. Well, we got 2 trades off anyway. All right. Okay, so let me just wrap it up with all this. I guess it's 1:30, so it's time for me to wrap it up. Go here to mytradingiq.com to take the trial. Click on the purple button. There is no credit card required for this trial. See, it's down 4%, 85% buys. It's down 4%. Just doesn't make sense. So go to mytradingiq.com. No credit card is required for the trial. When you go there, it's going to bring you to this page. Just fill it out. Make sure down at the bottom it gives TradingView login ID. Once you do that, we can get the indicators indicating on your desktop. That's where you want to be when you take the trial. All right. We didn't end up with the trade over here on the NQ. We didn't end up with the trade there or there. We almost have a long trade right now on the gold. And up close on gold will take it out of the oversold and put it above the midpoint. Okay, so the way to calculate this, this is a 9 range bar. So the midpoint is at 33.1. So you could not buy anywhere. Well, the low of the bar can't be below 32.1, right? The low of the bar can't be below 32.1. If it's above that, like that right there, then you have a valid long trade. And here, I just put that one on. Here it is. I guess we'll let this play out. Now the gold goes to break even +1 after 5 ticks in profit. Okay, so it's gonna go up. There it is, break even +1, and now we're at +1. It should go all the way up here to 36.5 right now. Bang, we'll take that. It's 11 ticks, and just like that, with 10 contracts on, that was $1,100 right there. Bam, one more. Put that in the results.
Good job.
11. Thank you. All right, so let me go over this spreadsheet. This section of it. This is what we've done since I started keeping track of this in the middle of November. For all these years, I never kept track of it. I never kept track of the percentages that you guys have always asked for. I never kept track of that. I never kept track of the number of stop outs or any of that stuff. And I decided to start doing that because it's all right here. So in this session, I usually get about 15 or 20 minutes to trade because I go over everything else that I go over. And today, with 10 contracts out, we're up $4,350. With one contract, $435 with one contract. Now, in the small amount of time that I have to trade in this session, if you were to just come to this session every day, and this session is free, we're averaging $197 per contract since the middle of November. So for the last month, we're averaging $197 per contract in the time that I traded in here. If you were to just do the stuff that I do in here, and it's not a lot of jumping around like it is in the morning session. There's still 4 markets, but there's just not a lot of time, so it's not jumping all over the place like it normally is. The last month in here, we're up $19,725 with 10 contracts, or $1,972 with just one. All right, and let me count this out. I'm not sure that number is right. Hang on, let me just count these out. 1, 2, 3, 6, 7, 8. Okay, that number is not right. 15 days. Oh, wait a minute, that number is right because I didn't have data. It's 14 days. I didn't have data for one of those days. There's something I didn't have. No, I guess I do. I'll just say 15. I'll figure it out later. But anyway, that number is still right. It's just over 15 trading days. This average per day is that. Okay, that's what it is. This is the average per day. That should be, hang on, let me just make sure this number is right. That number divided by 10. So that is the average per day. And that is with one contract average per day. That's the total. That's the average per day. It doesn't have the 15 in there anywhere. I don't know. Well, I'll figure all this out later. We can do this offline. I will do this offline and make sure it's all right. But we're up $19,725 over 15 trading days, and with one contract, that's $1,972. And this number here is the one that should be equals that divided by.
Icar said you need to divide by 15.
There it is. That's it right there. That's that divided by 15. This equals that divided by 15. There. Oops. I did something wrong in there. This equals that divided by 15. There we go. Okay, it was one contractor averaging, 10 contractors averaging $1,315 per day, with one contractor averaging $131.50 per day. That makes more sense. Okay. Right, because this is the total.
You said wrong cell.
Days. Yeah, I think, but the wrong cell I think was when I did have it in the wrong cell. This needs to go here. 15 days. So it's that number. It's this number divided by this number gives you that number. This number divided by this number gives you that number. This number divided by 10 gives you that number. This number divided by 10 gives you that number. So, all right. I think it's all good. Anyway, with that, I can pass it back out to fabulous Phoenix, Arizona, in Studio A, overlooking South Mountain, America's largest city park. Dwayne is ready.
Okay, recap of the session.
Today, Dwayne, it took 6 minutes and 2 trades to get to $1,100 with 10 contracts.
Good job.
Thank you very much.
All right, guys, as you can see from the daily chart here on the ES, we are closer to the low of the day than we were when we started the broadcast. Up close look. This is Friday's low. Step line crossed over. Now, this is a really heavy market because step line crosses, price will typically react quickly and differently than it's done here. But got a low, a higher low, and a higher low. So I'm gonna guess back over last week's zone, got a lot of room to run back up to the BBC. Should price trade through it. Don't forget, we got the cross here, resistance. Of course, we've already seen the short target today. It's Friday's low. Tick. Still an inside day. Tick. Okay. And so we're trying to get back above the BBC. We already hit the long target, 63.89. High of the session, 419. And on Friday, hit the highest weekly trading zone, second to the highest span of. So, right, that step line crossed red and falling on gold, so we should see a retracement back to the BBC. Back holds, look for another downside if price trades through, and watch this resistance here. Cross above. We're still consolidating short term. The Russell, basically the last week's weekly zone at 2551/52. On tomorrow's broadcast, you'll see this week's zones. All the alerts that go out Sunday night, both logic and CTAs, are all based on this week's zones because the new zones don't come at 6:15 Eastern. Once they're published, they're carved in stone for the change in any way whatsoever. Also, we've rolled forward the H contract on the indices and on to the G contract. And that's some pretty cheap prices for crude. Suggest start looking. I don't think it's going to go back to 20 bucks a barrel. I could be. See. G CLG 6 A see if I can just move. It's not. Nope. Try it again. That should do it. All right, so let's take this out to a monthly. We're going to have to go with the continuous. GCL. Continuous contract will fill in those empty spaces. Lines are just all right. All right. This was the big run up. This is going back to March 20. Now this is where crude hit $10 a barrel. I said I didn't think it would go back to 20. This is where it hit 10 back in April ago. Here, let's refresh this. Let's go week. We got a bullish cross on a monthly chart. Takes out these lows right here, and it's just about to. Should find support. This bullish cross put in back in March of 20. Wow. All right, well, just want to see what that looked like. To become a member, email Valerie support@cfrn.net. You want to become a member, she'll send you the information you need to get signed up. Once you're all signed up, 2 hours of live training every day. Interactive environment. Top of the 2 hours of live training every day. Access to private one-on-one mentoring. Dues asked, no extra charge. The strategy you learn, the indicators you use as a passport holder, put across all markets and all time frames, not just futures. Stocks, crypto, Forex, ETFs. Price flows the same across all markets and all time frames, from support, resistance, back to support, back to resistance, over and over again and again. It's a never-ending cycle. So, you want to jump from futures to any stock. I don't know why anybody would trade individual stocks in this day and time, but if you do, that's okay. You don't have to change any of the rules, any of the strategy, or any of the indicators. Put it on the spider, same thing. On Bitcoin, same thing. Price, I can't say it enough. Price flows the same across all markets and all time. Just as I showed you today and show you every day on this afternoon broadcast, from support to resistance, back to support, back to resistance. It's just how markets work. As a passport holder, you'll get the Logic 247 alerts around the clock. That's what teaches you how to read a chart. Trade them too. Get the concierge trade alerts every evening, typically 5 minutes ahead of the Globex Open. Monday morning at 6:15 a.m. Eastern, you get trading zones, and once they're published, they're carved in stone for the. Every Thursday night, you'll be able to attend the members-only workshop, and you'll get the golden keys that open all the private channels and Telegram. Everything a trader needs. Email Valerie, support@cfrn.net. You want to put it up with our word for the day. Pray for God to heal you. Matthew 14:14. Jesus was moved with compassion toward them, and he healed the sick. Wondering, how can I be sure God is willing to heal me? A man with leprosy came to him and begged him on his knees, "If you are willing, you can make me clean." Jesus was indignant. He reached out his hand and touched the man. "I am willing," he said. "Be clean." Immediately the leprosy left him and he was cleansed. Not only is God willing to heal us, he responds to our sickness and suffering with compassion. Jesus heard what had happened. He drew by boat privately to a solitary place. Hearing of this, the crowds followed him on foot from the towns. Jesus landed and saw a large crowd. He had compassion on them and healed the sick. 13 and 14. Two blind men were sitting by the roadside, and when they heard that Jesus was going by, they shouted, "Lord, Son of David, have mercy on us." Jesus said, "What do you want me to do for you?" "Lord," they answered, "we want our sight." Jesus had compassion on them and touched their eyes. Immediately they received their sight and followed him. Matthew 20:32. Has Christ's power diminished? No. Does he have less compassion toward his redeemed children today than he had for the multitude back then? So come to him with confidence, praying and believing. That is the most important sentence in everything I just shared with you. Come to him with confidence, praying and believing. How many times in the New Testament do we remember that Jesus, after someone was healed, he would say, "It was your faith that made you whole"? He didn't say, "Yeah, I'm Jesus, Son of God. I can heal anybody. Come on, line up." He put it back on them. Your faith has made you whole. Think about that. That's our good word for today. Thanks so much for tuning in. Wherever you are, God continues to bless you. See? I'll see you. See if we can time. All right, see you tomorrow.
Remember this, there is no greater return on investment than to see a human life changed and given hope. As always, pray hard and trade safe. Any financial information discussed on this show is simply the opinion of our host, Dwayne Reeves, his co-hosts, and guests. To learn more about trading E-mini futures or to take a 1-week free trial in our live trading room, call 1-866-928-3310. 866-928-3310. Information discussed on this radio program should not be construed as a recommendation to buy or sell any security. Always do your own due diligence and consult with a licensed securities broker or financial planner before making any investment decision.